This is the first episode of Disneyversity. I'm Mr. Specht.
I'm Mrs. French.
And we'll be your teachers on this adventure through all things Disney.
Sounds good.
We're going to discuss things like the parks, animation, the movies, Marvel, what else? Pixar,
Muppets, Star Wars.
Basically anything that Disney owns, we are willing to cover.
We are.
Because if you just Disney alone, you can just nerd out on Disney.
Forever.
And this will encourage the Disney people to also hire us.
I like that.
So this is Disneyversity because it's an education for you into the things that are nerdy of Disney.
We forgot the most important thing.
What's the most important thing?
One thing we'll talk about every single time, Vinylmation.
Right. Matter of fact, that's first period in this episode.
It is first period.
First period, vinyl arts.
You should have a bell ringing.
I can do sound effects later. First period, vinyl arts, where we get to talk about what's happening in Vinylmation, what has happened, and what will happen. And before we start talking about what will happen in the month of May, we're going to discuss a series that recently came out that you're kind of interested in.
I am. It's Mickey's Wild West series. It's very cool. It features the main Disney characters in kind of a Wild West theme.
Main Disney characters being Mickey,
Minnie, Daisy, Donald.
the big five, and then their crew.
Yes, the big five and their crew.
Their entourage.
Yes.
It's a good word, entourage. There's a vocab word. Entourage.
Yes.
What's entourage mean? Entourage
means their group of people who surround them.
So like me and Mrs. Bell would be your entourage.
That is true. That's about it.
Must feel good to have an entourage.
On weekends, it switches to Bailey.
Yeah, I like it. Favorite ones, not counting the chaser, favorite ones in that series that you like so far?
I love Donald. Donald has the coolest headdress.
Anytime they come out with a new accessory.
Oh, new accessories are awesome, but Donald's headdress is pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's got one of those Indian headdresses.
Yes, he's the
quality.
chief. It's huge.
It's quality.
I love Pluto.
Pluto, and what does Pluto look like in that series?
He almost looks like the dog from Pirates of the Caribbean. I think he's got keys in his mouth, and he's pretty cool.
Going into the chaser, I have to say that. Did you see the Pete chaser?
I did. He's
the Pete
awesome.
chaser is pretty awesome. Which is, Pete is not always like, peg leg Pete, whatever you call him. He's not exactly the character you would want in a series most of the time. But a lot of times lately they've been giving him a little peg leg, and I could probably take any Vinylmation that comes with a peg leg.
Peg legs are cool.
King, what's his name?
Fergus.
King Fergus. What else has had? There's been
one of the pirates had a peg leg.
Barbossa from the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie. That one had a peg leg. I mean, it's just if I could have just all the peg leg guys, I'd be happy.
That'd be a cool collection to have.
Yeah. I'm gonna change from globes because right now I collect a lot of the globes to peg legs.
You collect ducks too.
I do collect ducks, but yeah, the majority of that was because of this lady right here. She started my duck collection.
Oh, but you can go crazy with ducks with Mickey's Wild West series.
You would spend ridiculous amount of money.
You have Daisy, Donald, Huey, Dewey, and Louie for the first time.
Right, and the animation series as well. There's a animation 3.
Ludwig
was it 3 or 4?
Yep, 3.
3. Just came out, and that one had a Ludwig von Drake, which that one is a must for me. So anybody who finds that one and would like to trade it with Mr. Specht, I'm okay with that.
I just picked up my first animation 3 this weekend.
Oh, really?
I got Panchito.
I did. That is a cool one. But the thing is, if you have Panchito, you want Jose too. And Jose I saw once for trade, and I missed out on him.
And I've never seen him at all.
But since we're going to be talking about May, this is coming out in the month of May. Let's look at May's big release, and this one's actually a bigger one for me. Park Starz.
And not so much for me. Park Starz.
I like Park Starz because they're all different kinds of molds. If you haven't seen them, we'll definitely flash some pictures up. They come in all different kinds of mold. The last series I have the Yeti. I have the Tiki Bird. I have Figment with T-shirt.
Okay.
And I have the Robot Butler.
Neat.
So I was able to get a couple ones from that series. This one's a pretty cool series as well. I think a lot of times it's hit or miss for me. Like I don't really care much for the Carnosaur. They have the Carnosaur from the dinosaur ride. You wouldn't know about that because Bailey can't ride that. It's too scary. It's too scary. They have the Tree Troll, which I guess you would know that because you guys go to Epcot like twice a week.
It's fun. I like Epcot a lot.
Yeah, definitely. The ones I liked, I'm not a big fan of Mark Twain. Just let's say that because he
I
reminds
want
me.
you to have like a Mark Twain and Abraham Lincoln collection.
Yeah, not a big fan. Orange Bird will be a big one for Mrs.
He's
Specht.
cute. He's adorable.
Yeah. Which is, for those of you who don't know who Orange Bird is, he is a Disney character that was created just for Florida to advertise Florida and especially growing oranges.
I don't know if you know this, but we grow a lot of oranges here in Florida.
So he's a bird with an orange for a head.
He is.
Discman, who is I'm not sure, do you remember Epcot when they had the whole festival, I don't remember what it was, where they had the giant thing standing around? It was a whole parade they used to do at Epcot.
This one? This guy?
Yes, that guy.
Yes, I do kind of remember
Tapestry
that.
of Nations or something like that. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an odd figure to...
Yeah. The redhead, which I'm excited about.
The redhead is from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So she's the wench being sold.
Yeah.
And now Captain Jack comes out from
We
behind
wants
her.
the thing is we wants the redhead. That's the line from it.
Yes.
We wants the redhead. A Dutch girl and a hippo. Interesting combo.
But that would be Mrs. Specht's.
Yeah, I think she would like that one. I would like Rex. It's Rex from the old Star Tours ride.
Okay.
I'd like that one. And the chaser, kind of an interesting chaser, is Wally Bogue. Now, since this is Disneyversity, do you know who Wally Bogue is? Okay, Wally Bogue is one of the kind of like when the Disneyland parks opened, he was one of those kind of instrumental figures. He did, not only did he do one of the voices in Tiki Birds, but he used to do the Golden Horseshoe Review in Disneyland.
Okay.
And he played one of the main characters, and he became very famous for that. He was a very interesting comedian before he joined Disney, and basically Walt Disney said, listen, I want you to join my project, but listen, you're kind of foul-mouthed. So when you come to the Disney parks, could you maybe work on an act that would not be offensive to people?
And he did that?
And they did that. So Wally Bogue, very important Disney figure, and the Vinylmation showcases his outfit from the Golden Horseshoe show. It's got him with a hat and it's kind of flipped up in front, and he's got all his Western outfit, and it's cool. It's cool that they're showing some love to a piece of Disney history.
We like when they do throwbacks to something. We like the classics collection. We love Oswald, always.
And
Orange Bird kind of falls into that category where he might not be popular now, but he's definitely with Disney's
historical.
older...
Yeah, historical. I love when I can learn something new about Disney that I didn't already know, which is why we make this show.
It is.
Because now people can learn all about Disney, and we'll throw a couple tidbits that you didn't know. Now, as we were looking towards May, we were also kind of thinking, okay, so we got some cool things coming out, but looking into the future, what would we like to see? Okay, and that's kind of a fun way to kind of end the vinyl arts segment. Is what would we like to see? And for this episode, we're actually focusing predominantly on Marvel, since Marvel is one of Disney's properties now. They've not yet made a Marvel character in a Vinylmation form.
And there's no good reason for it.
There's no good reason other than the fact that Universal's still parked over there with a whole bunch of the characters.
That's true.
It'd be cool if they sold Vinylmation at a non-Disney park.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. But, the Mickey Mouse mold, what would be cool to see in that Mickey Mouse mold? Your thoughts. What would you like to see?
Marvel-wise, I would like to see, because I love the characters in a series, I would like to see Disney characters in Marvel costumes.
Right.
I'll go, let's say the Avengers. That can make a whole series with their characters. So I even did up a sketch.
This one makes sense. This is actually a really smart character.
So
I'll hold it up and you can talk about it.
I did Donald Duck as the Hulk, and he has the the caution radiation sign in one ear and a smash in the other. And he's
both
green.
have anger issues.
They do both have anger issues. And but I also thought,
who else would show up? That's what I'm interested in.
My thought was you have to make Captain America out of the Oswald mold. Since Captain America is the first Avenger, Oswald is the first Disney.
True, but think about this. Thor in that mold might be cool too, because he's got the wing. Well, in the movie he really doesn't, but he has the helmet with the wings. That might be cool in an Oswald mold too.
That would be cool. I thought Jessica Rabbit would make a wonderful Black Widow.
That's true. I could see that.
If you're taking the characters' personalities plus what they do in the Avengers, I kind of like it that way.
Randall from Monsters Inc. as Invisible Woman.
Okay.
No, that's a bad idea. They both turn invisible.
They do.
Other than that, I don't see too much of a connection.
No,
but they
I
both
don't
turn
either.
invisible. I'm just throwing it out there. She's far more creative than I am. What I would like to see, I would have to go with, because I'm, as you're more the Avengers person, I'm more the X-Men person. I would love to just see the X-Men translated onto vinyl molds.
Oh, that'd be cool. I didn't even think of the X-Men.
I mean, the series would be unlimited because the thing is about X-Men, there's just tons of them.
It's second period now, guys.
Second period. Marvel 101. Ding, ding, ding. Move on to class. Marvel 101. In today's class, we're going to be discussing Marvel movies because, as we know, May begins Marvel movies.
Marvel movies!
We're beginning Marvel Phase 2, which is so exciting.
Now let's explain. Marvel Phase 1 is the movies created by Marvel.
Right.
And this was even prior to Disney's acquisition when this started. So Marvel Phase 1 includes Iron Man. Technically. Includes Iron Man, the Hulk with Edward Norton as the Hulk. Yes, technically.
Those are two technical ones.
And then Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and the Avengers.
Yeah. It wasn't really until Iron Man 2 that they knew, okay,
Right.
this is going to work. You know, so.
And then, so that's Marvel Phase 1. So all those movies have been released. You can catch them all on DVD if you want to. Marvel Phase 1. Marvel Phase 2 starts next week with Iron Man 3.
If the reviews are to be believed, this could potentially be the best of all the Iron Men.
Which is crazy because
Yeah.
Iron Mans are always awesome.
Yeah, they're always awesome, but this one, I guess people are comparing. Is it Ben Kingsley? They're. See, I asked her when she.
He's one of my favorite actors, anyway.
Really?
He is.
Do you love Gandhi?
him. No. Okay.
You don't like that movie?
No, but that's not the role that I love him in a stupid little role that probably.
Oh, really?
I love him as the vice president in Dave. Do you remember the movie Dave?
I remember the movie Dave.
Okay, he
Oh,
was the
gosh.
vice president, and he was so sincere, and I just think Ben Kingsley's awesome.
Ben Kingsley is awesome, and I actually
I actually kind of like the idea of him as a villain, but
Yeah, no, that's what's cool because when I think of him, I actually think of him
you
as.
always think of him as a good guy.
I always think of him as Gandhi, and now he's gonna play someone totally different.
Completely different. He'll play Mandarin, by
Which
the
is
way.
cool because Mandarin in the comic book, I could not see that character brought into the movies. And they found an interesting way to incorporate him in the movies. Because in the comic book, he's this guy, and he has 10 elemental rings across all his fingers. And he just like does different things with his rings. And I'm like, how are you going to translate to the movie? It's not going to be so much that mystical aspect as more of just, again, the Iron Man movies are more political.
Right.
And they found a cool way to do it. He looks killer. People are comparing his portrayal in that to Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Ooh,
Like saying it's that strong.
those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I think
That was a good role.
They just released a trailer for Thor 2.
Dark World.
Thor Dark World. Who knows what this Dark World that they're talking about is? I guess we'll see.
Doesn't matter as long as Thor's there.
Yeah, but Loki's in it too, which is cool.
You know, Loki, for a villain, probably has a bigger following
Definitely.
than Thor.
He probably has
People
bigger
love-
following he probably rivals the following of Tony Stark.
I agree.
In the movies.
Which is crazy in some ways, but
Absolutely.
people love Loki. And
Oh, yeah.
you know what? Even I don't mind Loki.
When you can steal a show in a cast that large,
That's true. That's pretty awesome.
yeah, it's just insane. But I was very excited about it.
And then
So Thor, and then next year,
our May release will be Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
which I'm excited because I think both Thor and Captain America could be even stronger than the first movie.
I agree. Which
I think both ones could grow a lot.
I'm not a huge fan of the first Captain America. I
Right.
understand why it had to be made.
And I wasn't a huge fan of Thor, but I think we both appreciate both films. But
Yes, we do.
But I could see where both films could
Absolutely.
grow exponentially.
Definitely.
So I'm very excited about that.
Then, one I know nothing about, but Mr. Specht is, yes, crazy about. Guardians of the Galaxy will be the November release of next year.
And they announced who the villain's going to be. The Collector, who is a guy who collects
things.
So,
Does he collect Vinylmation?
it'd be cool. I mean, technically, he'd be a villain that you and I could empathize with.
We could. We do
So,
like to collect
It's
things.
gonna actually maybe that movie will be a little hard for us by the end, by the time they lose. But yeah, no, that's the official villain for it, and we're hoping to catch some Thanos in there too, because Thanos showed up at the end of Avengers, and he's understood to be the villain for the Avengers 2. So
Which will be the 5th movie in Marvel Phase 3.
Yeah.
Or Marvel Phase 2.
yeah, so hopefully we'll catch a little bit of him in that. And then of course after Guardians of the Galaxy, 2015, that's when we'll see Avengers 2. Mm-hmm. And then they already got Avengers Phase 3 planned out with Ant-Man starting after that. Which is crazy, because how do you start it with Ant-Man?
I don't know.
We're starting this one with Iron Man 3. And then in Marvel Phase 3 we'll start with, in 2015 we'll start with Ant-Man. Oh, okay, totally new character, let's go with it.
Now, Marvel being what it is, there's nothing that says that they don't introduce or at least reference Ant-Man somewhere
that's true.
in another movie. Which is, for instance, how we were kind of introduced to Thor.
They'd probably be smart.
Yes. We saw Captain America's shield in Tony Stark's basement. Things like that.
So we're gonna now go to third period, which, big one for both of us, Imagineering. Third period is Imagineering, and we are going to discuss some of the cool things going on at the parks right now that you may not even know about. For example, as we just referenced before,
That's what I got to ride.
Iron Man's flying around the park.
Iron Man is flying around
And
the
you
park.
got to ride it.
I did. I never get to ride them, and
Because they had, before, they had skins for the monorail. They had a Tron. Originally, they had a Tronorail. Then last summer we had the Avenger Rail.
We did.
And now we have the Iron Monorail.
That was bad.
That's not good? No?
Yes, there is. There's an Iron Man 3 wrap on one of the monorails. It's on.
Looks like he's flying.
It does look like he's flying from the front and the back.
Yeah.
And it is on the resort monorail that takes you from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the hotels to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got to ride it the other day. It was pretty cool.
Pretty cool way to promote the movie.
It is a cool way.
You know what's a cooler way to promote the movie?
To put the characters in the parks.
That would be a cool way. You know what, even cooler than that? If they were to create a Stark Expo at Disneyland parks.
That would be cool.
Which is what they did. If you've ever been to, obviously, I'm asking her if she's ever been to Epcot. You know, in Epcot, we have
Never.
We have Innoventions,
What's this Epcot
correct?
you speak of?
So in Epcot they have Innoventions, right?
Yes.
And ours is okay. Disneyland's is awesome. And Disneyland, they've actually built the Stark Expo, which is crazy.
Well, why can't we have a Stark Expo?
I don't know! But coincidentally, I'm going to Disneyland this year.
Oh, crap.
So I get to go see the Stark Expo.
Ah.
Maybe I should shoot a little segment for us.
Maybe you should shoot a little segment.
Like, here's the Stark Expo. Check it out. It's pretty awesome. So I get to see it. I didn't put two and two together. Like, I was like, oh, they got a Stark Expo? And then immediately from talking about that, I went over to Mrs. Specht. I'm like, okay, so what are our plans for Disneyland again? It never occurred to me that the two would like, then all of a sudden someone's like, wait, aren't you going? I'm like, 1 + 1. It's like, 2.
We're so bad at math, guys.
Yeah, no, it was actually awesome. So I will actually get to see the Stark Expo, which I'm pretty excited about.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely think a video will need to be made.
So then, what are your thoughts then about seeing these characters more and more in the park?
Here's
First
the
of all,
deal.
what's the trouble about getting them down here in Disney in Florida?
In Florida, our trouble is about 5 minutes down the road from Disney is Universal, which currently has characters in the park, although
Which was before the Disney.
was before
thing.
the Disney. There's a whole, like, there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that goes into that.
It's very confusing.
Yes, it is very confusing. And them being there, but they're still there. And they get to stay for, I want to say it's something like they cannot update or change the rides.
That's what I had heard.
It's a very...
No
it's
major
a
updates.
No major updates.
Because they recently updated the visuals to Spider-Man, but nothing really changed about the ride.
And I think that was in the works prior to Disney
Was it?
buying.
Cool.
So, like, they can't change the Hulk. They can't use, like, movie
You mean
footage.
they can't change Storm's teacup ride?
They cannot change.
Oh,
Storm's teacup ride.
man.
They actually can't change any. They don't change the street show. They're not updating the wardrobe of the characters or anything like that.
They can't even use the movie wardrobes.
They
It's kind of
cannot.
crazy to think about.
They can't update anything. And theirs was all, in case you guys haven't been to Universal, theirs is all much more comic book based
Yes,
than
correct.
movie based anyway.
Well, because it almost was really started before the movie.
It was, yes, for the most part.
Yeah.
So, that would be problem number 1 with seeing it in the parks. 2, I don't want to see them the way they appear at Universal. Because one, Disney does a far better job of finding people who look like the character and making them look like the character.
Spider-Man's build kind of creeps me out when I see him at Universal.
Yes, Iron Man,
Captain
America.
I want to feed him.
Yes.
He's usually so scrawny
He
and
is very
gangly. Spider-Man's
skinny.
usually skinny, but man, this guy's like, I can see his ribs.
I would love to see Spider-Man web shoot his way down Main Street. How awesome would
That
that
would be
be?
cool. That
Like
would be
just
cool.
flying over our heads.
That would be cool. I see it. If you see it happening, though, what park do you see it in?
If you're gonna add rides to it, then definitely go Hollywood Studios and almost create a land, which I don't think they have
Although I would,
done enough of Star Wars wise. I don't
Correct,
see why
correct.
they haven't created just a
Yeah.
Star Wars land.
I'm sure
and-
it'll be in the works now. You know, to do more Star Wars
Well,
and Lucas.
go
and
a
stuff.
Star Wars land, a Marvel land, and
Yeah.
what's any updates on
Enemies,
Avatar World?
The updates are that the Marvel characters are going to walk into the animal kingdom, and punch him in the face, and hit him in the face with a hammer. We're not Avatar
We are
fans,
not
but
at
technically
all.
it's not owned by Disney. It's just a leased property that they're going to put in the park for some odd reason.
Aren't they making an Avatar 2 and how
They're
long
making
is-
an Avatar 2, 3, and a prequel.
Well, TikTok, James Cameron.
That's
How
what I
long's
keep.
it been?
That's what I keep telling him. I'm like, Cameron, sorry we don't all work on your timetable. When's Titanic 2 showing up?
Titanic 2.
I mean, come on.
Granted, have you ever seen how much research he put into doing Titanic, though?
Good
The
jo-
man's a research freak.
Good for him. We're in education.
It's true.
Wham, wham, wham.
We do a lot of research in a very short period of time.
Correct. When you watch a movie like The Avengers or like Thor, romance is assumed. But when you're in the classroom, best hold that romance outside of the classroom. You don't need
And
to
we
do that
don't
stuff
mean
at
the
school.
hallways.
We don't need no kissing in the hallways. Buses, that's not romantic.
The bathroom is disgusting.
Yeah, that's disgusting. You know what? And while we're at it, why not just wait until you're in like college?
That sounds good.
You know, because honestly, focus on your studies.
Focus on watching all these movies and going to the parks and collecting Vinylmations.
Honestly, if you're as geeky as us, and you're watching this, so you must be relatively on your way to it, you'll realize that kissy face and romance isn't important. Focus on your nerdiness. Focus on your Disney knowledge.
And then
And-
someday, someone just as nerdy will love you.
Yeah, for who you are. Until next time, guys.
See ya!
I did not see where that ending was going.